Sergeant oh my God! Look,
Yes, you were, Baggett.
look at the Sarge. He's coming in. He's all decked out in camo.
Certainly
He's
is.
got the hat. This is as Sergeant Slaughter as I've ever seen anybody be. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, good to have you, man.
We were enjoying your song before. I forgot about the Cobra Clutch.
The Cobra Clutch.
Do you still do that live?
Yeah.
That's a fine song.
Yeah,
How
did
are you?
I'm good. Pleasure.
See you.
I mean, we were listening, you know, and you forget that like in the 80s, rock and wrestling was a big deal.
Right.
And you had the best deal out of all of it because we were listening to your song, The Cobra Clutch.
Cobra Clutch.
And all you had to do was just say, The Cobra Clutch. And
Yeah.
some other schmuck is singing the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you still got top billing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote the song because back then when I first came into the WWE, it was the WWF, and Vince McMahon's father was running it, and he had me come in for a tryout to do a promo with Vince, our boss of today, and he said, "Is there anything I can do to help you get ready for your promo?" And I said, I went to my bag and got this cassette tape out, and I said, "Could you play this song?" And he goes, "Well, what is it?" I said, "It's the Marine Corps hymn." And he said, "You want me to play that before you go out?" And I said, "Yeah." I think it always, helps get things going.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I never thought about having music before." So he played it, and that was the start of having music for entrances.
Like
So
entrance music
I didn't know you
and
started that.
I wanted to write my own music, so I wrote my own song, and
Yeah.
I'm not a very good singer, so I had to have
That's not
somebody
true.
to sing it for
You're a
me.
fine singer.
Yeah.
You like his
Were
part,
you in the
right?
Marine Corps? You were in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
Yeah. What years were you in?
I got out in 74, went in 68.
Oh, okay. So you did 6 years. So did you go over to Vietnam?
2 tours of Vietnam, yeah.
2 tours. What did you do over there?
I was basically just infantry, just making sure all the grunts didn't, eight ball on us and keep them all in line.
Were you messed up when you came back? A lot of people were like, it took a while to kind of
Well,
shake
we
that
never
off.
really talked about it much.
Yeah.
It was something that we weren't acknowledged as, being heroes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we never talked about it. There's a lot of bad experiences and did a lot of things I normally wouldn't have done or unless I was ordered to do it.
Do you, when you see like the way people, like the U.S., like you can see people felt bad about that, and then like when at Desert Storm happened, they treated the troops properly when they
Right.
came back, and now there's so much pro-troop
Support the troops.
yeah.
sentiment and support.
Yeah.
Did you resent that at all? Like, what about us? And
I did for a while, but then, I got, with the WWE and we started, working with the military and of course we do an event every year, tribute to the troops. So, it's a way of me, letting all that hostility and anger out and put it toward a good reason.
yeah,
Does it help too, getting into wrestling, like not too long after that, and showing up at these buildings and these arenas where you do have adulation? They're cheering for you as a wrestler, but you're
Yep.
still getting
Right.
that adulation that you
Right,
didn't
right.
get when you should have
Well,
gotten.
I did start out as Sergeant Slaughter. I just went as myself, and that was tough because every time that red light went on, I was terrified. I was a shy kid, farm kid, and so I was nicknamed Sergeant Slaughter in the Marine Corps. I never thought about because I was always the hero.
wait, they nicknamed you Sergeant Slaughter in Vietnam? Boy, you must have been a bitch.
Yeah. I can't tell you what I did over there. So anyway, it just never thought about using it because I always played the hero.
Yeah.
And when I got done, I forget what I was doing, but went to the house and I turned on the television and all of a sudden I heard the Marine Corps hymn and there was a movie called The D.I. with Jack Webb in it. And I started watching and I said, that's a hell of a character for a villain in professional wrestling. And, he didn't use any profanity, maggots, scum, pukes. So I came up with all kinds of different words to use, So it panned out pretty well for me.
That's like drill instructor language, right? You maggot,
Yes.
you scum.
Yeah.
But they would use racial language too. I don't know if they do
You
anymore.
can't do it, can't do it, especially on television. But
Right. Yeah, that would be a no-go.
No, but I mean, like back then, they would say anything to you.
oh yeah,
in the '60s.
Oh, yeah. There
Yeah.
was no holding back, and it got a little brutal also.
It did, right?
Yeah.
Physically brutal.
Yeah.
Would,
Yeah.
did you like Full Metal Jacket? There's that famous scene at the blanket party.
Yes.
Did you ever see one of those administered?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever
It,
receive one?
Brought back memories.
Oh.
I've been in one.
You've been in one.
Yeah.
I mean, participating.
Yeah.
What'd the guy do? Do you remember?
He snuck a Twinkies into the
just like
barracks.
So it really was like.
And they made us do it. Yeah.
So you, how long were you out of the military when you got into wrestling?
About 6 months.
Oh, so you went right away.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to get this energy out of me. What can I do with this?
Well, I was actually on leave and went to a pro wrestling training camp up in Minnesota where I lived. And a friend of mine was a sports writer. We used to always go to the pro wrestling matches. And I went there, and I was the only one that didn't have a camera or a microphone or a notepad. So they asked me to get into the ring. They said, do we have a volunteer to get into the ring to make sure everybody thinks this is real and all that? And of course, being a DI in the Marines, you knew that volunteer, that was a bad word. That meant you're in trouble. So I climbed in there, and of course, they made me yell Uncle Sam quite a few times. And maybe tap out. So I went to get out, and they said, where are you going? I said, well, I don't see any reason to stay in here any longer.
Yeah.
And you're taking advantage of me. Oh, is that right? Well, you think you do okay on your own? I said, better than I'm doing here, doing what I'm doing. So he said, well, get down on all fours. I noticed about 4 or 5 of the trainees that were going through the camp were kids that wrestled in high school. I beat them all the time. So. He coach told me to get down on all fours in the wrestling position, and he yelled out, Rick, you get on him first. And Rick, I knew Rick, and I beat him all the time. And he was Ric Flair of today. We grew up, in Pee Wee baseball and high school. And so Rick goes, I got a bad shoulder, coach. Get on him, You
guys grew up together. Wow.
I pinned Rick, and then they put Campatera on me, and I escaped from him. And then it got to be an embarrassment to them. So the other professional wrestler, Billy Robinson, he told me to get down on the fours. And when I did, he dropped his shin on the back of my ankle, tried to break my ankle or whatever.
Just to kind of teach you a lesson.
Yeah. So I came up, as they say, the mud, the blood, the beer, and got him down and, got him.
Taught him a lesson?
Yeah.
Wow. And this is your first day. I mean, no training,
Yeah, and I was still in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And so they finally took me outside, and the main coach said, where'd you learn to fight like that? High school wrestling? Yeah. Where'd you go to school? I told him. He said, oh, yeah. What's your name? I told him that. He says, your last name Remus, your father's name Rudy? I said, yeah. He put the roof on my house. My father was a roofer. I said, yeah, I know. He told me, So he says, well, you're ready for it, but, we can't put you with this class, although you did pretty well.
Yeah.
They're 8 weeks ahead of you. And I said, well, I'm still in the Marine Corps. I mean, I can't just
on leave.
That,
Yeah.
So I went home and told my dad about it, and he said, well, I think you ought to give it some thought. They were farmers and roofers, and they didn't have the money put away for college. So I thought, well, I'll just follow my father's footsteps. I went to the Marine Corps, followed him, went down to PI, and had the opportunity. And when I got out, I didn't re-enlist. I just went right into the training camp and been doing it ever since.
You look really good. Like, I hadn't seen you in a long time. You look great. I mean, you really
appreciate that.
Whatever you do, you look amazing.
I went to have some minor back surgery about a month ago, and I'm laying on this gurney, and this guy comes in. He's, I guess, a nurse's aide or whatever, getting my blood pressure and everything. He keeps looking down at me, and he goes, man, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You look great. And I said, I'm in a damn hospital.
Yeah, my back operated.
What did I do? You write that I'm laying on a gurney, and he kept coming in. You really look great. You look, and
but it is pretty amazing. Like, I don't know if it's genetics or what it is, because the stuff, even after the Marines, the stuff that you did in wrestling. First of all, you wrestled for a long time,
45
which is
years.
Terrible for the body.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you did even early on, like 1980, 1981. You had a match with Pat Patterson that was like a street fight that was so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's like the only thing from 1981 that people in 2019 will still bring up.
Yeah, it was called the Alley Fight.
Yeah.
And we were put into this match by Vince's father, and we got everything ready to go there. We built it all up, and they sold out not only the Garden but the Forum, and I'm on my way to the.
Was the Forum watching on closed circuit?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. With the overflow.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
So there was no rules. You could wear whatever you wanted. No time limit. So I'm on my way to the ring, and I had Ernie Roth as my manager. I call him the General, and I looked at him and I said, Ernie, how does this match end? And he goes, that's a good question. I said, there's no time limit. There's no referee. There was no referee in the match.
Yeah, so how do you make the decision?
I just was bleeding so bad that he ran out and threw a towel. Vince McMahon's father told him he's going to die. He's not giving up. He's not stopping. And I kept trying to crawl back into the ring.
How long was the match?
It went about 20 minutes.
Wow.
But it was just, I mean, it was brutality.
It was just hardcore before hardcore.
Yeah, because in 1981, you weren't seeing that stuff. Like, you weren't seeing blood everywhere. And
the funniest part about it, not that it was that funny, but Vince's father wanted me to go to Japan like a week later on a big tour. And I didn't have a passport. So my wife was flying in from Minnesota to give me my birth certificate so we could go get a passport made. As soon as I hit that top of that ring post, I felt that burn. I don't know if you ever experienced it, but I could feel the heat of the blood running down my face. And the first thing I thought was, how's she going to find me? What hospital in New York City will I be, laying in that she can find me?
Yeah.
No cell phones.
She's never been to New York. She's going to jump in a cab and was supposed to meet me at a hotel.
Right. And you're not going back to the hotel.
Be at the hotel.
It's funny. Nobody would have thought at that moment Sergeant Slaughter was thinking about his wife flying in with her
I'm
birth
supposed to meet my wife after this.
Oh, shit.
No.
My wife's going to be mad.
I was looking down. My hand was on the canvas, and blood was just like pouring on my hand, and it was splashing. And that's all I thought about is, how is she going to find me?
Did you guys realize after that, did you guys go, we just did something that people are going to talk about for a long time? Or did you go, that was Tuesday, moving on to the next day?
When I saw the towel come in, I was really disappointed. I didn't want it to stop. I wanted to keep going. How we were going to stop it, I didn't know. But it was a brilliant idea, whoever came up with it, Vince's father, I guess. But you could hear the roar. People, it made Sergeant Slaughter, that tough-ass Marine that everybody knew was a tough son of a bitch. He didn't stop. He didn't want to give up, and they threw the towel. He didn't throw the towel in. Somebody else threw the towel in for him. But from that point on, I was like a god. It was like,
you were made.
Nobody can beat the Sarge. I mean,
was there, when they asked you to burn a flag, you didn't want to do it?
No.
And were they okay with you saying no, or was that a battle back and forth?
Well, what happened was I just won the title from Ultimate Warrior at the Ultimate Puke, I should say. At
the Ultimate Puke.
At the Royal Rumble in Miami, Florida. And after we won the title, we had to do a lot of promos and new promos because everything changed. All the cards had to be changed and I was a champion and he was the challenger. So
this, by the way, I mean, just to set it up a little bit, this was a ballsy move because you come back. This is now 10 years removed from what we just talked about. You come back. You're a bad guy.
Right.
You're an Iraqi sympathizer.
Yes.
At a time when the U.S. had a conflict with Iraq.
Right.
But if I'm not mistaken, the night that you won the title and said, we're going to go forward with this, was the same night that the U.S. announced this isn't just a conflict. We're at war.
Right.
And that's a much bigger deal. Now you as a bad guy wrestler are supporting the opposing force
in a war. Kind of fit right in there,
Yeah.
Made it even worse for me.
I'm sure it did.
Because as I was saying, we were doing new promos, and Gene Okerlund, God rest his soul, he was doing promos, and he had a earpiece in, and all of a sudden he's doing a promo, and he goes, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe what I'm hearing in my ear set. Sergeant Slaughter's behind the Miami arena burning the American flag, and I'm sitting... What did he just say? I'm burying the American flag. Wait a minute. So I hear it. He does it again. I can't believe it. I walked right in front of cameras. I went, cut. Because it was...
it wasn't live.
Okay. And Vince comes running out. What's wrong? What's wrong? I said, I'm not burning any American flag. What are you talking about? I'm sitting right here.
Yeah.
He goes, no, we're just saying that you did. I said, no, we're not even saying I did. I'm not.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the line.
That's going too far.
That's the line.
You're going to lose your sponsors. You're going to lose your television. You're going to lose the brilliance.
Plus, you were over. You had, I'm sure, friends that were killed. You know, in fight.
Sure,
it just
sure.
it went beyond
people that were there that night. I mean, probably were there just by luck that they didn't get killed somewhere. You know.
How difficult was that for you? So you go from about January, because Royal Rumble's in January, WrestleMania's in April. By the way. April's coming up. WrestleMania 35 will be here at MetLife Stadium, and tickets are on sale for that. But this is
Ticketmaster.
At Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
This is WrestleMania 7, though. And you go from January to April, more or less, supporting Iraq. And all the bad guy promos are about how you're going to beat Hulk Hogan, and you're supporting Iraq, and Hulk Hogan supporting America.
Right.
And you're sitting there getting death threats, right? I mean, people aren't looking at this like, oh, bad guy wrestler doing bad guy promos. They're like, you are a legitimate traitor.
Right. It wasn't sports entertainment yet.
no.
Right.
It was war.
Right.
It was war.
And so you'd go out and people would really hated you.
Oh, hated me.
Did you have to wear a bulletproof vest? Did you say that?
I did.
I did not say that.
I did. Yep. I had just gotten out of G.I. Joe. I went for 6 years with G.I. Joe and left the WWE. For the first WrestleMania, I wasn't there. And I believe it was supposed to be Hogan and I in the main event.
Of WrestleMania 1?
Yeah, number 1. So I made this deal with Hasbro, and I thought Vince would be happy about it, but he wasn't. He said, I just signed with LJN, and that's a conflict of interest. So,
I see. So it wasn't the necessary, because the G.I. Joe cartoon was wrapped up in the toy.
Right.
The Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe toy was what you signed for,
right.
And now he's saying this is a conflict to my business.
So I see. He you know, being the great leader he is, he figured I'd say, okay, let's go to WrestleMania and LJN and all that. But I said, well, you can only be a G.I. Joe once in your life.
Yeah.
As far as a real live, out of the G.I. Joe cartoons and animated and action figures, I was the first living one, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
It is today.
Yeah.
So I declined. I said, I'm going. And he wasn't too happy about that. So
do you regret it?
No, I don't regret it. I missed those being those first 6 WrestleManias, but in the long run, I'm glad I did it. And that's when I came back.
How long was he upset for, Vince? Like, did that strain your relationship to the point that there were years that went by that he's like, I don't want anything?
We spoke to each other. I didn't even watch WWE.
This is bad.
I worked for a couple of independents. Started that for all the independents of today. Mm-hmm. And I was making actually more money in the independent leagues than I was in WWE. But
because you were G.I. Joe at this point, too. You're a much bigger celebrity.
And by far the biggest name.
I was all over the place.
Yeah.
Japan and everywhere promoting G.I. Joe. So when the contract came up, Vince calls me. I was watching a NASCAR race one afternoon, kind of nodding off a little bit. And the phone rings. Hello, Sarge? Yep. It's Vince. Oh, hey, Vince. There's only one Vince.
Yeah.
But you hadn't spoken to him in years.
No.
At this point.
So he said, I had sent him a little note, handwritten note about WrestleMania 6. I said, that's the greatest. And I wasn't crazy about the match, Hogan and Warrior, the ultimate puke and Pukemania. I said, but the production, unbelievable. I said, the cameras and all, I gave him the whole thing. So he mentioned that right away. He said, I got your note. Appreciate that. I never got that type of thing. It's always usually, it was a great match, great show, but I never heard about the
production value.
Production end of it. So he says, I hear your contract's up with G.I. Joe. Hasbro. I said, funny, you should know that,
Yeah.
He goes, you ready to go back to work? I said, yeah, I am. So he said, come on over to my house tomorrow morning. I've got an idea for you. So I tell my wife and my daughters that night I'm going to Vince McMahon's house. We're going to make G.I. Joe the real American hero,
And Vince is smart enough to know that if I'm asking G.I. Joe to be an Iraqi sympathizer, this is an in-person conversation. We won't do this over the phone.
This is on the phone.
Yeah. So I get to his house, go to the library. He's got this thing all laid out of the L.A. Coliseum, 104,000 seat capacity. big screens all over the place. He says, I want you and Hogan to sell this out. And so that's great, but how are you going to make Hogan a villain? He goes, Hogan? No, I'm not making Hogan a villain. I'm making you a villain. I said, well, how are you, what's your idea? He said, well, you know, Saddam Hussein, the overtake of Kuwait, and you're not happy with the country and letting a little country like Iraq and General Saddam take over the world, and America's weak, and you know, blah blah blah.
So it's sort of, and that's a very Vince McMahon thing. Like, it's very sort of detail oriented in the sense that he's not saying, because I like Iraq better than the U.S. It's a bad guy. It's a villain saying, no, I like the U.S. so much that I'm disgusted, and we need to be more like
Iraq.
What's going on in Iraq?
And plus, he's looking at 104,000.
Sure.
Right.
Now, how did he convince you? Did you like the idea immediately? Were you like, this sucks? Or do you like, this is great?
Did you go from G.I. Joe to like Saddam Hussein's knows what he's doing?
I was kind of flabbergasted. And I just kind of stood back and I thought about it. And my funnest time in professional wrestling, sports entertainment was being the villain. So now here we got, I'm going to be a Iraqi sympathizer. And he goes, now go talk to your family about it because it could be pretty rough. And I said, okay. And of course, on the way home, I said, this is what I want to do. And next morning, breakfast, guess what, Dad's going to be an Iraqi sympathizer. And no more G.I. Joe. And my wife goes, you're crazy. You can't do that. You can get killed.
Yeah.
I said, well, let's see what happens. She said, okay, you're the guy that runs the table here. So we went after it, and Vince just said, I'll let you go, and if you get too far over the line, I'll pull you back. Yeah. So he let me do.
Whose idea was it to wear the headdress?
I wore the headdress. I wore the uniform. I got a gentleman from Minnesota who was a manager there. Name was Billy White Wolf. He was an Indian wrestler, but he was from Iraq. Went to college with Saddam Hussein, knew the language, had to escape, the country, and he looked exactly like Saddam Hussein.
You're talking about the dreaded General Adnan.
Yeah, General Adnan.
He really did. Yeah. So Sergeant Slaughter starts coming to the ring, like with an Iraqi flag and everything, and his manager looks like a body double of Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. When he first came in and showed Vince and I, it was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He shows us his outfit, and he's got a little handgun on the side of his. And I said, whoa, no weapons, no weapons. He said, it's just a plastic. I said, I don't care what it is. You're not wearing that to the ring. And don't give anybody any ideas. And Vince says, yeah, you're right. So anyway, we went on this rampage and just tore everything apart. I would do, when Saddam's birthday, I'd go to a bakery and get a cake, and I'd get some candles, and I'd have everybody stand up and sing happy birthday to Saddam, because they would do it. And then there was times when I would say, I want you all to stand up and give 10 seconds of silence to the brave Iraqi soldiers who died in the overtake of Kuwait, because today's Veterans Day in Iraq. People they were coming over the railings, and I'd always time it so my opponent's music would hit, and they would be satisfied that this guy would beat the hell out of me for a few minutes.
Now, is part of this just your confidence in the ability to handle yourself? Because there is, you do have to exist outside the arena.
Oh, yeah.
And these people are not separating, that's not, Sergeant Slaughter's just a wrestling character. Like, that's not happening.
They hated you.
Yeah.
Well, it happened the first night, won the title after the flag burning thing, and they didn't air it. We went to, I went with my agent, and we went to a Denny's, I think it was, and there's nobody in there. It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
No service. Finally, I asked the girl, I said, could you give us some service? And she kind of shook her head. She ran into the kitchen. Here comes this burly guy out of the kitchen. He's got a spatula and a little naval cap on and white T-shirt, walks over the table, and he's got the spatula in his hand. And he looks at my agent, and he goes, you can eat. He's not. And he points the spatula at me, pulls up the sleeve of his T-shirt, and he's got the United States Marine Corps emblem tattooed on his arm. So I looked at my agent. I said, I think we probably should go somewhere else to eat,
Yeah, but you didn't break and tell him, no, look, this is just the whole thing.
No, I went with it. And
so
got
you never
to Philadelphia.
Did you get to spots where you want to just tell the world, like, no, I have this military history. I'm acting. I'm doing.
No, I only did that at my daughter's schools. I went up there a few times. I'm a Cub Scout leader, you know.
Oh my God!
And
the Cub Scout leader is waving the Iraqi flag on television.
So I had to go up to schools and tell them I'm just, you know, an actor. I'm their father. This is just a character I portray, and it didn't really help. But you know, my oldest daughter didn't care, and she, you know, went with everything. And my youngest daughter was a fighter. She'd stand and fight for me, and she'd come home sometimes with a black eye. Or,
they'd give her shit.
She was.
But she'd fight back.
She fought back.
Did you ever have a physical?
Don't call my father that, you know.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a physical problem with somebody out?
Not too much. You know, I got to Philadelphia next day after I won the title from the Ultimate Puke, and we and I got there, and Jay Strongbow was the road agent, and he said, "Have you talked to your wife today?" And I said, "No. Is there something wrong?" He said, "No, I don't believe so." "Have you talked to Vince?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you might want to give him a call." We didn't have cell phones, so I find a payphone. I call my wife. There's just a machine, and I leave a message, and then I called Vince, and he'd just gotten back from Miami. He's in the office, and he said, "Yeah, have you talked to your wife?" And no. "Spoken to your wife?" No. "Is there a problem?" No. Somebody called the wrestling office this morning and said they're going to kill you. They're going to kill your family. They're going to kill me, kill my family, blow up our houses, blow up the wrestling office, the studio, our cars. And I thought I'd take a precaution and call your wife, tell her to get the hell out of the house, you know, just in case. You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
So then I finally got a hold of my wife, and of course she said, "I told you this wasn't a good idea." So, you know, we kept on going, and I finally got home about 4 days later, and I lived in Connecticut, Western Connecticut, and I had this house that was hard to find. I loved the road because it was dirt, and they didn't even have a road sign. And when you finally got to my driveway, it was a big windy thing up you could hardly get a car up there.
That's convenient when you're going on TV as a former military man sympathizing with the Iraqis.
Yeah.
Be hard to find.
Yeah,
So
that's super
I
convenient.
got to the top of the hill, and there's a Winnebago. I don't know how it got up there. And 4 gentlemen come walking over out of a black sedan, and they opened up their coats and showed me they were packing weapons, and told me they were going to walk the perimeter of my property, the 4 acres, 24/7 till they were told not to. Going to take my children to school. And,
Wow.
and
Did
take
Vince
my
hire
wife
them?
to
Or
the grocery store.
who got that done?
What's that?
Who got that done? Did you?
Vince.
Oh, he did.
Vince McMahon, yeah.
Wow.
So they said, till we're told not to. So I walk in the house, of course. My wife's got the rolling pin in her hand and another spatula I got to look at. And so she said, "I told you this wasn't a good idea." And I said, "I know." She said, "I'm not going to the grocery store with an armed guard, and my children aren't going to have an armed guard at the schools." I said, I know. So I told the guys.
Isn't that great? After all this, like, you know, your whole life, and then everything you're doing, you're getting everybody pissed off. You're ready to blah blah blah, and you get home, and your wife, I know,
honey,
I
right.
got it.
You're right, honey.
Yes, honey.
Yes, honey.
Where's the garbage? You want me to take the garbage? Yeah. So anyway, we went on along with it, and finally one night in Madison Square Garden, Vince's father was still, you know, around, and he said, "There's some gentlemen that would like to talk to you. I want to do this little room." And they were the FBI, and they said, "We get so many, we don't know if you know this, but we get so many death threats and problems with you that we were wondering if you would consider wearing a bulletproof vest."
Wow.
We have this new style that is mesh. You won't even know you've got it on, but we think we should take a precaution.
Like just in your day-to-day life.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said yes.
Just basically wrestling, they said.
Oh, for when you go out to the ring and
Right.
stuff.
So in case you get shot.
I see.
Did it scare you?
No.
It did.
No, I just didn't want to wear it. You know, I've had bulletproof vests on, you know, for most of my military career, and they were bulky, but these were pretty nice. So I wore it for about a month, and then I quit wearing it, and they would have to take me on an airplane without any other talent, superstars, and I would always walk down the plane. I would go through the terminal, and they'd have a car and an escort take me to the hotel or to the arenas.
But it was worth the investment because the payoff was going to be so big.
Yeah.
It was such a big thing. How many years did that happen for?
And we did that. We did it up till the war really escalated and they were losing lives.
Oh, okay.
And Vince and I just sat down and said, let's end it. I'll ask for my country back, because people were losing their lives, and
Yeah, you did it for
yeah.
about 8 months, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it kind
about
of
8 months.
ended in
and we
summer of
worked
that
our
year.
way to WrestleMania. And the worst part about it was that we got there, and they told Vince, you got to secure the Coliseum. It's going to be about $3-4 million, and he said, I'm not doing that. So we ended up going, into the 18,000 seat.
So
LA.
you couldn't do 104,000 after all that.
That was the heartbreak of it all.
Yeah.
Because it would have been
Gone
too
through
much
all
money
that,
to secure it.
Yeah.
all that.
Now,
And
people say too, like, I mean, and in hindsight, people say that part of it was that business was not as good as you guys thought it might be because people were legitimately offended and didn't want to be a part of it. Did you think, was that part of it or not really?
No, we did the biggest pay-per-view and had that record for many years.
I see.
Till it was broken, of course. But
Yeah.
no,
So there was that interest
Yeah.
in seeing you finally get
Right.
your ass kicked.
yeah. Well, the fun part about it is we go to the match and they have all, Regis Philbin is a special ring announcer and Alex Trebek is a timekeeper, and Willie Nelson's going to sing God Bless America, and Donald Trump is in the front row with Marla, and all these people that I know, they wouldn't even talk to me.
Wow.
They were into it so much that they sorry you and I'll never forget Regis just walked over to me and you're bad, Sergeant Slaughter. He just started berating me. And
How'd you finally break it? How'd you finally go, all right, we're done with this because people are really getting killed over there. So how did you finally break
And
it?
did you worry that you would never be able to be a good guy ever again?
Vince told me from the beginning. He said your fans will always love you and they'll always bring you back. That's just
a lot of faith.
Yeah.
A lot of faith in you, especially from that match we talked about, the alley fight.
Pat Patterson match.
You'll never lose them. You'll always have them. I don't care if you're 80 years old and a pot belly and you can't walk. They're going to cheer for you because you entertain them and you showed them you're a tough son of a bitch.
Uh-huh.
So we decided to do the let's go for the country back idea. Went to all the monuments all over the country. And one night in some town in Pennsylvania, me and Gene out doing a promo. Vince says, go out and do I want my country back promo for me. And we didn't have scripts or anything. And we were all ad lib back then. So I go out there and I start trying to talk and want my country back. People are booing and drowning me out. So finally I took the microphone and I started singing God Bless America. And got kind of teary voice. And I was actually sad, And people stood up with their lighters and sang the song with me and applauded and gave me a standing ovation. I walked back and go through the curtain, and Vince is just shaking his head. I can't believe that you did that in that short a time, that you got those people back.
You turned them.
And
Yeah.
he said, you're teamed up with Hacksaw against the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov in the next hour. Why don't we turn on Hacksaw?
Because he saw the love and he wanted you to go bad
They
again.
would do it all over again.
Turn on Hacksaw.
And I said, okay. And he goes, no. I just so then we went our own other way.
How did you, so after WrestleMania, when you start going into the summer and just get to the tail end of this, evil Sergeant Slaughter thing, you added a man named Colonel Mustafa
was the Iron
to
Sheik.
your regime, and that was actually the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
What was it like partnering up with the Iron Sheik? We've met the Iron Sheik before.
Yeah, I never was a fan of that idea. I really didn't want somebody coming in, but Vince wanted to give him some work. I guess he must owe some money or whatever, and felt sorry for him. Wanted to give him some work. And
the knees, if you go back and watch those matches, the knees aren't what they used to be on the Sheik. He can't actually take bumps.
Right.
Like, he can't really do anything because you can see him kind of walking on, like, some kind of fake knees.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's not in the best shape in the world.
No. And so we started this triangle of terror. General Adnan, Colonel Mustafa, Sergeant Slaughter, and we got to where went to a SummerSlam at Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Match made in heaven, match made in hell. Macho Man married Miss Elizabeth the same night. So I'm getting ready to get my outfit on, and here comes Vince. Takes me into the shower. Got a little problem. So what? He goes, Warrior's holding me up. I said, what do you mean? He wants $500,000 cash before he wrestles, or he's not wrestling.
So Warrior comes to Vince and goes, I'm not going out there unless you give me $500,000 right now.
And what's cash?
Cash.
Jesus.
So I said, well, what are we going to do? He goes, well, I'm going to pay him. But he's finished. He's fired, But let's do the match, So I said, okay. So there's the Mustafa, and I said, okay, I'm going to throw a Warrior out on the floor. You jump down and break his leg for him. And Vince goes, no. No, I don't need a lawsuit on it on top of everything else. So
but Sheik would have done it.
We had the match. And
Sheik would have broken the leg, though, if nobody had stopped him.
Probably.
Yeah. Wow.
So he got this $500,000 in cash. Was he fired right after that?
Yeah.
And did he ever come back?
Oh, yeah. He never
Everybody
really
comes
came
back.
Full board, but I was really shocked that he got in the Hall of Fame myself. But he's there, and that's the way the business is.
Do you dislike him?
No. I never disliked him. I always had great matches with him. We made money together. He was kind of AC/DC a few times. You'd be on planes with him, and he'd be in a really foul mood or whatever. But down deep, he was really a nice, kind guy, and worked hard and did whatever he had to do, get the business done. And
I mean, the story is that he got fired literally immediately after the match, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, Vince said that's not the worst part. I said, what could be worse? He goes, he wants to be introduced first. He wants the first pop. And I said, you're kidding me.
And that's what really bugged Vince. Yeah.
That was the worst part about it. So anyway, I finally had my last match with the Ultimate Warrior in Orlando, and it was a cage match.
Mm-hmm.
And in our business, a lot of times you connect when, not really wanting to hurt somebody, but sometimes you really do. And every night it was like that with Ultimate Warrior. The puke, he would give you a clothesline and you'd see stars. And so the last match, I stop at this market, and I get this piece of vegetable, and General Adnan says, what are you doing with that? And I said, you'll see. So we have our match, and about 5 minutes into the match, he hits me with a clothesline, and I had this potato in my outfit, and I threw it up in the air, and it started bouncing all around. And in our business, if you hurt somebody, it's called a potato. So it's bouncing all around the ring, big Idaho potato, And he stops in his tracks, and he's looking at it. And he's looking up, cage on top of the, cage. So that, how did it get in here? And then he looked down at me, and of course I'm moving my body in a laugh. And he grabs that potato and tries to stuff it in my mouth. And was laughing. I never heard him laugh before. And so when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the night of WrestleMania, I tried to find him, and because I stopped. Before the show, and I got another potato, and I was gonna give it to him as a gift, and I couldn't find him. Finally, I went by a room, and there he was doing a promo, and he stopped doing the promo and goes, Sergeant Slaughter, and I held up the potato, and he came running at me, you son of a, and started talking about it, and did the promo, and it was a lot of fun.
What was your relationship like with Andre?
Andre was good. Good. He lived in Ellerbe, North Carolina. I live in North Carolina right now, but I used to live there a lot more. And he would always have a little party once in a while, and he had this house that was made for him, Giant's house. His gazebo was probably the size of most people's homes. All the doorways were 15, feet high, and he had a double king put together, and chairs were made for him. And if Andre liked you, you were fine. If he didn't like you, it was a pretty rough night.
They said he didn't like John Studd.
He hated John Studd. Hated John, and John Studd was terrified.
He was.
He was terrified of him. I once in a while, I'd have John in my car. We'd be traveling, and he'd talk about it. I almost get tears in his eyes. He said, I don't know why he doesn't like me. I said, because you're trying to slam him. He doesn't want to be slammed. So
they're like, no, it's a business. We're just all working together. He's like, nope, doesn't want to.
No, not Andre.
But he would try to. I think they said he would try to put a hurting on him when he.
Oh yeah. and Andre, if he was in a good mood, you're fine.
Right.
You know, one night I got him, and he'd been on the road, come back from Japan, little town in New Jersey. People were coming out of the woodworks, and I come to the arena, and Andre's not there yet. His plane's late. Finally, one of the guys said, "Just go out. He's on his way. Go rile up the people. When he's here, I'll send the referee." Okay, so here comes the referee. He looks at me. "You're in for a good time." I said,
Oh, no.
"What do you mean?" So Andre just got off the plane, and he's in a great mood, you know. So here he comes, and I get him in the ring, and he used to kind of play around with me, and so I got him in a front face lock, and he's got this hair like a lion, you know, and I get him in his front face lock, and of course we put some pressure on it pretty heavy a lot of times, just to kid around with some of the guys we like. And so I tell the referee, ask if he wants to give up, you know, give up to the Sarge. So the referee picks up his paw and he drops it down, and there's no movement. So he lifts it up again. I said, ask him if he wants to give up. And down goes the paw again. And all of a sudden I looked at the referee and I said to myself, something's not right. And all of a sudden it was Andre fell asleep. He was so tired from the trip that
he fell asleep.
You didn't choke him out.
Now I'm trying to wake him up. We've only been in the match 5 minutes. You know? So I'm hitting him on the back, and finally he wakes up, and now he's mad at me. So he starts chasing me.
You woke him up.
Oh yeah, like a grizzly bear. And I started running around the ring, and he's coming after me. I jumped over the top rope. He'd come over the top, run around. Finally, I headed back to the dressing room.
You just left.
Yeah, I ran around the locker room, the lockers, and he's chasing me around. And I said, "What do I do?" Arnie Skolin was the road agent back then, and he said, I don't know, kid. He's got a cigar. I don't know, kid. So I saw the kid, Private Daniels, who used to drive my camouflage limo. I said, "Get the car ready." He said, "The car?" I said, "Get the car ready." So I run around. Andre still following me. I see the exit door. I hit the exit door, and perfect timing, there's my camouflage limo. The back door's open. I fly into it, and off we go. And I look back, and there's Andre.
That's so funny.
Next day, he got a hold of me, but
he did get a hold of you the next day.
That was fun night, fun stories.
So he was quite a drinker right here too. Did you ever go drinking with him?
Oh yeah. He could put him down.
Yeah, they said he would fucking really pound beers.
Well, I mean, his hand was bigger than a beer can was.
Yeah. He didn't drink out of a glass. He just drank the bottle of wine. You know.
Right. I'm gonna have a couple wines. That means 2 bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was a great guy. Good man.
When you later on, you were back in the WWE again as like a commissioner type. After you were done wrestling, you were just the authority figure there.
Right.
And you know, when you would talk and you would do these promos and whatnot, sometimes when you would be animated, you would spit a little bit when you spoke, right? You know, that would happen.
I'm spitting on your microphone. Right
he really did. He left a hawker.
So they did this bit where Sergeant Slaughter is talking to Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who are young guys at the time, and they interrupt Sergeant talking. They just say, "Hang on 1 second," and they put on these glass helmets, like masks, that have windshield wipers built in.
Yeah.
And they go, "Okay, go ahead," and they turn their windshield wipers on while he's talking.
Yeah.
How do you not break and go like, "That's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life"? How do I stay mad at this?
It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen because I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
You know, we had scheduled to have this promo, and they tell you how much time you've got when you go out there, and so I get into the ring, and I'm the commissioner, as you said, and I'm like the sheriff at the OK Corral with no laws, you know. I couldn't tell anybody to do anything really because they wouldn't listen to me anyway.
Right.
So here's D-Generation X and Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and China. And so there's this paper bag, like you said. And
they didn't tell you in advance what was in the bag?
They didn't know a thing about it.
It's helpful.
So I start, berating them and telling them what's going on, and this is the way we do it, And Commissioner Slaughter said so. And So all of a sudden they said, "Hold on, sir," just like you said, "Hold on," and they reached in his bag, got these like plastic welding helmets with a clear face, and they pushed a button, and his damn windshield wiper started going. Well, it took everything I had not to burst out and laugh, And it's probably one of the most classic promo things that ever took place. But we would try to do those things to
Of
each
course.
other. We try to have fun and try to make each other laugh, especially live television. I mean,
there's no fixing it.
It's like when you're watching Saturday Night Live and all of a sudden an actor starts laughing,
Starts
'cause
breaking,
he knows
yeah.
what's coming up, or something surprises them, and they just go out of character. It was fun.
By the way, you'll be able to meet the Sarge yourself. He'll be part of WrestleMania Access here in New York. It's going down April 4th through April 8th. It's going to be Sergeant Slaughter and all the other WWE superstars, past, present. Everybody will be there. It's at Brooklyn Pier 12 in Brooklyn, New York. It's April 4th through April 8th. So you get your tickets. You get pick your session or whatever. That's on Ticketmaster, as are tickets for WrestleMania 35, which is going down Sunday, April 7th at MetLife Stadium.
Right. It's a whole week long of celebration and fun, and the WrestleMania Access is just a great time. You meet, like you said, you meet the superstars of today and the legends, and get photos with them, autographs. They used to have a thing where you could announce a match, with somebody that does that, like a Michael Cole. And
Sure.
I'm not sure if they still do those types of things, but they have a lot of interactive fan experiences. As you said, memorabilia, and the biggest display of WWE memorabilia in one room or under one roof.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've
I
seen
can't
it.
wait to see.
You
it.
were there a couple years ago when we were in Orlando.
To see what's all on there.
Yeah.
It's just, it surprises me every time I see everything that's being sold and available for the WWE universe too.
You had a rivalry with Jim Norton's favorite wrestler of all time.
Well, I was a Bob Backlund fan at one
Bob
point.
Backlund fan. Yeah, Bob and I.
You ever see him do the knee walk?
He was doing the what?
The knee walk?
Oh yeah.
You like the knee walk?
Yes, I do.
He was doing the step test, Harvard step test that we used to do in the Marine Corps, and so he said he was going to do it for an hour, and it was going on all the while the matches were going on in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
What's the step test? Just walk up and down
You up and down one step, then you go up with the other foot, and you just go back and forth. He goes for an hour or 2 hours. It just never stops, and it's in a certain position. You have to do it in an upright position.
Oh,
and so he about 55 minutes or 52 minutes into it, I decide he's not doing it right. So I go out and I start berating him, and he's still doing the test. And finally, I do something to distract him, and because he's going for a record of amount of time to do this. And so I get him mixed up, and he has to stop. So he gets mad at me. He jumps in the ring after me, and I started beating him with my riding crop, swagger stick. And I welted his back like no tomorrow.
you whipping Bob Backlund. That's right. I
You remember?
That. Oh, I certainly do. I was actually thinking of that as you're talking. I remember the step, and I remember you whipping Bob Backlund.
Yeah. And when he got his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, he walks over up behind the podium, walks over where I am, and he goes, "And you, Sergeant Slaughter, I still hate you. My daughter hates you. My wife hates you. All my family and neighbors hate you. But we had a hell of a match."
Well,
This
Sarge,
was great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. Don't forget WrestleMania Access at Brooklyn Pier 12, April 4th through April 8th. WrestleMania 35 is April 7th. They're doing the Hall of Fame. There's everything going on. Ticketmaster for all your tickets to the whole weekend. I'm sure Jim and I will be doing a whole bunch of stuff associated with it.
We're going to be at the Barclays Center also for Raw.
Absolutely.
And NXT TakeOver Hall of Fame will be there.
Yep,
and
SmackDown.
And the SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
It's all going to be at the Barclays Center.
I can't wait. wait. It's my favorite weekend of the year. Thank you, Sarge.
Underscore Sergeant Slaughter.
No push-ups for you guys. You're dismissed.
By the way,
underscore SGT Slaughter on Twitter.
Is Jim Norton, as many times as you've brought up maggots, Is Jim Norton the human being that most resembles what a real maggot might look like?
I think he would look good in a Cobra Clutch.
I do too. I do
You think
too.
we ought to put him in one?
I think so.
I think.
That'd
Okay.
be, that'd be a
Let's do
fun
it.
picture.
Yeah, let's do
Hold
it.
on.
Yeah. So the Sarge is going to put Jim Norton in the Cobra
Did you
Clutch.
stand further away?
There used to be a move called the sleeper hold.
Right. So the
was
sleeper
like
hold
this.
gets locked on. Jim, I like that Jim prepares to go to
Yes,
sleep.
it does.
Yeah.
So the Cobra Clutch was invented to work on both this side and that side.
Okay. Jim, tell me
like
if
a-
you can feel
kinda
that it
like
would be
a fight
effective.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, I haven't even put it on yet.
Yes, you
That's the Cobra Clutch.
Oh, you can.
How does it feel when it gets a
Norton,
little
the Cobra
tighter?
Clutch, maggot.
It feels very unpleasant.
Puke,
Yes, I am.
slime.
Indeed.
The vein in your forehead is
Yes,
popping.
he's choking me. He's a strong son of a bitch.
Jim, is Sergeant Slaughter still quite strong?
Oh my God, yeah. Those giant marine hands.
That's
Holy
awesome.
shit.